Good evening, guys. I hope you're all well. Welcome to Sniper Sundays. I hope you've all had a great weekend. Now, I'm going to go over some of our usual pairs as we come into next week. Now, we can expect volatility to decrease quite a lot next week. Obviously, it's Christmas week, so we may see some movement in the market tomorrow. Then Tuesday and Wednesday, um, we should see a lot more reduced as we come into the Christmas holidays. So we spoke about this before. Obviously, the market will go quiet. The market is open some of these days, but it's a bank holiday in different places all around the world on Tuesday. Then, obviously, Wednesday's a bank holiday everywhere, and Thursday. And then there'll be Friday, and then we might see a little bit of movement in the market. And then we got next week when the market will start to pick up slightly, but we do have bank holidays once again. And then we'll start moving it into back into normal territory the week after. Now, as I explained, what we'll be doing over that period is we'll see what days are best, but we'll do some live streams or some webinars. So in the quiet period of the market, we can increase our knowledge and education, so we can be learning new things, and as I said, increasing our knowledge. And also, what I explained is that I'm going to be going through my pairs, updating with new support and resistance levels, seeing how these monthly and weekly levels now are behaving now that we've had another 3 to 6 months of price action. So I'll be going through all my pairs, putting on new monthly key support levels, support resistance, and getting ourselves ready for the for next year. So we'll see what next week brings. So I'm going to just run through and see how we finished off last week. So last week, let's just go to the US dollar index. Actually, just have a quick look at that. That's oil. US dollar index daily, we see we had a close above that last lower high on the 4 hour. As if I drop down to the 4 hour here, you can see. So we broke above this, and it looks like we're going to make our way out to this outer trend line, as explained. Once we break one trend line, we start to make our way out towards the next. But however, if we go to the daily here, I think price is trying to be a little bit manipulative, a bit choppy here. We do look like quite bullish, so we could easily push out to that daily trend line, as you can see here on my chart. But we do also have this level on the daily here, which I'm going to be watching out for. So you got this daily level of support, and you got support here, and you got this daily level of resistance. On the daily, you got a lower low, lower high, lower low, and we're coming up to test the daily lower high here, the daily swing. So this is going to be an interesting level actually to watch out for coming into next week and moving forward. So I'm going to be watching here to see if the US dollar actually loses strength here. And if we go to the 4 hour chart, we can also see we've had that push up through here. So this is going to be an area to watch out for as we move forward. So wanted to highlight that there as we look at Euro USD. So Euro USD here, if I go to the weekly chart, I've explained a few times, we can see we can easily see we're on a downtrend on Euro USD. We've got 0.1, 0.1, 0.2 here, and we broke out, had that shooting star, nice sort of rejection last week, and we're pushing back down. Now, if we go down to the dailies chart, we can actually see we're just tapping the back of that trend line that we broke out of, this weekly trend line. So this is where, along with the US dollar index, I'm going to be watching this. I do think we're going to push back down a little bit more. We've also got this trend line that's going to come across here. We could push back down a little bit more. We are bearish at the moment on the Euro USD. As I said, overall we're bearish as well. But as we come down and break below here and come down to this sort of third touch of this trend line, along with weekly support at 1.10, this may be an interesting level. We may not be able to break through this. We've tried various times. You can see here we sort of broke through, push back up, broke through, did break through, but didn't sustain for long, broke back up, retest as support, retest as support, and we might be having a final retest as support, and then we might see a bigger move next year. So that's something I'm keeping on the cards and what we're going to be watching out for. I do think if the market opens, we see some movement early next week, that we're going to see this push down a little bit lower, down towards this trend line or possibly support. But from there, we could be looking at this pushing back up higher. Now, coming into next year, as we move forward, Euro GBP, I do see this pair having a nice move up to the upside. I do see this pushing back up higher. Currently, if I drop down to the 4 hour, you can see on Friday that we had a push up above that 0.8500, and now we're pushing down. What I expect from this, you can see here we had that higher high, came down, retested a higher low, but even with the pound weakness, and the euro was quite weak on Friday, and we saw across various euro pairs, we saw a big sell-off on the euro. Now I do see this pair actually pushing back down, coming down to around 0.8400, and from there we'll be looking at taking long trades. But I am actually going to be watching to see if there's any opportunities to take a short down to here as well. But at the moment, I think on a 4-hour and the daily chart, we're going to need to have that bigger pullback. As any move needs to have a retracement. I think we found a top now from this move, this push up. We found a top and a resistance. We're going to push down now to this 50 or 61.8%, and from that level is where I think longer term we're going to see this pair start moving back up. So that's what I'm watching out for on Euro GBP. Euro NZD, this trade has been a great trade for those who were in the group from 7 weeks ago, still holding this and running 5% profit on this one still. We've had a couple of failed long hedge trades, losing 0.5% on, as we had very low risk on them. But I said, when you're hedging, if you have a hedge long trade, if you lose on the hedge long, you're still making money on the hedge short. Now coming into next year, or coming into next week, this is on the top of my watch list. I think that this is ready now to have a reversal. We've had a big push down. The New Zealand and Aussie dollar pairs, I think it's time for them to start turning as well. Been watching for the last couple of weeks, and however, we may see a slight push down again on this. We can see here we've got this weekly chart. We've got the weekly breakout as per just trendline strategy. On the daily here. And if we fail to break that, then I think we may be finding the bottom where we're going to push off. We could just extend this down a little bit lower, not as low as this, but a little bit lower below here, and then we may see a nice push up to the upside. So I just get rid of this, and this could be a nice swing trade as well. Once the market gets back to normal, as we have seen that the last month, a couple of months, it hasn't been. Market's been really bad, quite choppy, and sort of not a swingers market. It's been like for a scalpers market, and no one wants to be scalping. So next year now, once the momentum comes back in, we should be looking at the big swings and the big moves in the market once again. So here we had this 850 pip short, and now at the moment we're having this 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 here. Could be having a fake out, 78% retracement level on a daily. As I explained, when we hit these levels on the fib, on a daily chart, we don't expect them to just push away straight away. We should expect some accumulation. So we can expect some accumulation around here, but we'll be looking at good long opportunities around this level. We'll see how the market opens up this week and see how we react here. This is on the top of my watch list. Euro NZD and Euro, I'll come back to Euro JPY, but Euro AED here, this is a sort of similar situation as Euro NZD. That's why I want to cover it first. And we know that with a triangle formation, price will often have a fake out. Just want to clone this. Will often have a fake out. So you can see here, we just zoom out on this. We've had a fake out here. Let me actually get rid of this for a minute. We can see we've had a fake out here. Fake out as a triangle, and then we push down, and now we're having a fake out, a possible fake out to the downside. So if we see some Aussie dollar weakness, which we were looking for on Friday, then it may be time to see that this pair is going to start pushing back up higher as well. So we may be seeing a bottom for now on Euro NZD and Euro AUD for a bigger trade back up. So we're going to be looking for sniper entries on these pairs, and I'll be watching these tomorrow when the market opens. Euro JPY, this is quite bearish at the moment. We had a bit of a breakdown last week. We see here on the daily chart, we've had a bit of an evening star formation. We had a doji candle sitting on that in the trend line on the daily, but we now broke through that. I think we're going to come out and test the outer trend line, as we can see here. But perhaps before that, we might make a pull back up and then give us an opportunity to take a short down. Euro has been weak last week, as I said, really sold off. So you have to see how the market opens on Monday. We might see an increase on the sell-off here on Euro pairs. So we'll have to see what happens there, but I will update on that. On pound pairs, I am looking for a reversal from around these areas. We've got monthly support. I'll just change that, but I will be updating all of these over Christmas for you guys. Levels and all annotations. So we've got monthly support at 1.3000 here. We've had a big sell-off since we had that big pump up with the UK news, with the election news. Then we've had a big sell-off since 500 pips. Around from these levels now, I'm going to be looking at this to have a push back up, maybe back to the back of this trend line, where we definitely are due a retracement before a push back down. Even if we are to push back down, that is, we have to see some sort of a retracement. So you can see here, if we just bring this Fibonacci, this is a good way to sort of try and understand what a confluence could be. If we have here this top, and this is now the bottom, you can see how the 50% lines up really well with the weekly resistance of 1.3250. So we may be looking at a possibility of seeing a pushback up here first, and then a roll over to the downside. And if we do see a push up on the pound, that will also coincide with the Euro GBP push back down first. So I'm going to be looking at that. And GBP, sorry, that was GBP USD, guys. Sorry, that was GBP USD that we're looking at coming back up, finding support at 1.300, and maybe having another nice 250 pip push up to the upside at least. GBP JPY, similar situation here. Daily, we've had a big push down. We've broken through the daily trend. We are quite weak as it seems at the moment, but I do think it's time to see a bit of a retracement and a pullback on this. So I'm also going to be watching the pound pairs around this level. We can see here we've got a double bottom forming. If we can't break that, then we may see price to start having a bit of a fight, start finding support here to actually bounce off this level and push up higher to make a retracement back up as explained. Aussie dollar, one that we were looking at. I've kept this on for the moment. This is very, very interesting to me. Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, NZD pairs in general, and Aussie pairs in general are very, very interesting to me. So if we just get rid of this for a minute, go to the daily chart, you can see here we've had a push back down recently here. We've sort of created this daily double top. So we're rejecting this double top here. As you can see, we've had a rejection back down, and if we're to finally break this and actually push back down, this is going to be sort of the last level that we should see this pair come back up to retest. At the moment on the daily, if I just zoom out here, so you can see here we've had this daily double top. We've had that push down as mentioned. If I drop down to the 4 hour, you can see here we also had that resistance, which we're sort of playing around with at the moment. Last week on Friday, with a close above, it sort of invalidates the previous lower high. However, it's not been a strong close above. We got this sort of doji candle, but price didn't have the momentum, so we came out of the market on Friday. However, unless this is going to come back up and make a double top, if we see the price action here, which we've seen, then this is a great area to get a sniper entry, because you can see here we're coming back up. We're sort of coming up to the last area as per the Fibonacci webinar with the 61.8% golden retracement ratio. And if we're going to reject here, this may give us a great entry to find a sniper entry here to have that push down. If we have this Aussie dollar push down, then when it come down, test this sort of trend line here. We've had 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, which I highlighted earlier or in last week's Sniper Sundays. Having a push up to the upside now. If we can find rejection here and the bears can step in, then it could be a nice trade down to come down, have that fourth attempt, break through, and come down and have a nice swing trade on Aussie dollar pairs. So you can see here Aussie dollar set up, New Zealand dollar, US dollar, same situation really. If we go to the daily chart here, we can see with the New Zealand dollar, US dollar, we've been constantly pushing up for the last 2 weeks. Been very, very choppy around this area. We drop down to the 4 hour, it's very, very similar. We've got that sort of last lower high level here, acting as resistance, resistance, resistance. Price has pushed up here a few times, and at the moment, you can see here we've rejected the 61.8% 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So we're showing really, really nice price action here. We're rejecting between that 61.8% and the 78% retracement level. And if we do find resistance here, then we could be finding the top here for a great sniper entry and a great trade down. If New Zealand dollar is finally going to lose steam. So we've had this push up. We've had 1 push, 2 push, had the 3rd push here, creating that head and shoulders formation. This is where it looked like New Zealand dollar was going to come down. Then we found support once again, but we're pushing back up and we're failing to break above that 61.8% and failing to break above that previous lower high. So right now, it looks like we're finding resistance here. If we can find an entry here, then we can have a really nice push down. And we can also see here how a confluence for an exit level or for a take profit level is this 61.8%, which lines up with the 0.6500 level. Similar situation again with NZD CAD. So New Zealand dollar pairs are all are on my sort of watch list, have been for a few weeks, waiting for them to sort of run out of steam. We can see here that we've got this left shoulder, head, right shoulder. We haven't quite made it. And we can see this trend line coming across the bottom, 0.1, 0.2. We're coming down, didn't quite make it here, but we know that pairs like to magnetize towards these sort of levels. So this was actually meant to be here. We know price likes to magnetize towards the trend lines. So right now we can see that we haven't managed to tap it here. So we're having another push up. If price pushes up and taps into this level and shows us rejection, then we may be looking for a short trade on this as well. At the moment, as the market closed, we had this nice shooting star, nice bearish engulfing. But I'd want the market to open and see what's going to happen first, as always. But if we saw a price push up into this level and reject, this could be a really nice trade to come down to this trend line, then break lower, and then come lower once again. Same with NZD JPY. All sort of similar setups here, guys. So we were actually short on this and got stopped at break even after being 70 pips in profit. You can see here, this level I've highlighted is the last lower high. So you got the came up, tested the last lower high, haven't reached it yet. But you see this trend line coming across 0.1, 0.2. We're having 0.3, had a little bit of a fake out, haven't managed to break out. Now we're going to head back down towards this sort of steep trend line that we got here, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, creating this triangle formation. Price has been choppy, 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 choppy. We were short from up here, came down, pushed back up, just spiked us out of our entry because of this big, huge spike here on the back of the news. Then since it's been down, up, literally just moving within this sort of range here. So at the moment, you can see here that we've had another fake out to the upside. It looks like we're going to come back down to this side. If we can break through that, then I sent a big drop on these pairs and New Zealand dollar pairs. And a drop on these pairs means a push up higher on Euro NZD and Euro AED pairs. So watching these very, very, very carefully. USD JPY, explained that I was expecting this to push up and tap that 110 level. Come up and tap this level. We actually then pushed down, but as highlighted, we've just pushed down and we're within this range, and we've retested the previous lower high here. So sorry, higher low. This higher low here. So we pushed up, had a higher high, had a higher low, higher high, higher low. Haven't been able to break above, but we come back down and retested that previous support. Now we're trying to push back up and going to head towards that 1.10, I believe. But we want to see what the US dollar is going to do as it opens up. USD CAD, quite another one. But guys, the pairs, many pairs have been so choppy for the last 3-4 months. It's been some of the worst trading conditions that I've ever witnessed. Not only myself, but collectively, most traders, people I know that work in hedge funds, everyone has had a quiet year. Even at the start of the year, for a lot of people was quiet in hedge funds and stuff like that. Even though retail traders were taking a lot more trades, and we were having I was having a great year. And when the community started, things were flowing. We're having lots of pips, hundreds and hundreds of pips in weeks. I think September was about over 10% profit, and then October, November, December just went quiet in the market, and it just continued to be choppy. And you can just see this here. Everything's sort of working in towards triangle formations and ranges where we're about to explode. So next year is going to be a big year once we get out of these areas. You can see here, like I've showed on some of the other pairs, I think is Euro and Euro AED here, like a daily triangle. Here NZD JPY, but USD JPY hasn't really been doing much for the last few months. Actually, if I just zoom out on this, let's just go back to the last sort of few weeks, just to show what I'm talking about here, guys. here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 weeks we've been ranging between, not even been moving between 200 pips on USD JPY, one of the biggest traded currencies in the world, or forex pairs. So USD CAD is the same. Things are just so choppy, and everything's sort of coming to a head. And we're going to see some explosion and some big moves coming into next year. So we just have to sort of take how it's been. We've been having some good trades in the last 4 weeks. Unfortunately, because of the choppiness, we've had stopped at break even, but we had 100 pip on USD JPY. We had 270 pip trades last week and a 50 pip trade as well on USD Swiss. But unknown to us, the market was going to be so choppy. We had that crazy news that came out when the pound gained a lot of strength that evening, where everything in the market went crazy. So the only thing what we can take is that we've learned how to act in these situations, learn how to protect our risk and not lose money, and learn how to manage trades and the education that we're learning each day from the market. And so when we're ready, once we start next week or next year, then we're going to be ready and when these bigger trades and these bigger swings happen, we're gonna be raking in the pips next year. So USD CAD, you can see here what I'm basically getting at is you can see here on the daily chart, this sort of triangle formation that's forming. We may push down still on this. You can see here we're trying to break out of this level. We may push down and try and have a fake out to the downside on USD CAD still. On this 4 hour, we're still in a 4 hour downtrend. Lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, equal lower high, rolling over to the downside. Again, still quite choppy. On a lot of these pairs, they're going to continue to range, so we may be looking next week or over the next couple of weeks and early part of next year, taking smaller trades and just looking at taking 30-40 pips, smaller stop loss, smaller take profit levels, but the risk reward will still be good. We'll still be having a small 1% risk for a 2 or 3% reward. So we may be having to look at some choppy, not choppy trades, but some smaller trades, 30, 50, 60 pip sort of levels, until we do see the market gets out of the rut that it's in, and then we start taking those 100, 200, 300, or even 850 pip trades again, like Euro NZD from 8 weeks ago. We've had the odd good one that's been able to hold for a long time, but the market in general hasn't been ranging or hasn't been trending that well. So gold, there's another one you can see here. Gold has been quite choppy. I've had this level sort of drawn out like this, but I'll just get rid of this for the moment. You can see that we're sort of within a range here. We had some good movement a little while ago on gold, but recently it's just been choppy here. Again, I think we're coming to a head where we're going to have a big move. And gold controls a lot of the currencies and has a big effect on the currencies. So if we see a big breakout here on gold, we're going to see big moves on other currencies. See here how quiet gold has gone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sort of doji candles just moving sideways. So once we have a breakout of this level, we're going to see some big moves in the market with gold, and that will also follow with lots of other currencies. So I'm looking forward to what we have ahead. Oil is one that I was watching last day on Friday. Don't want to get involved yet. Finding some resistance. Had a first sign of weakness here. A bit of a bearish engulfing. However, we're not going to jump in just yet because we were looking at this level with this head and shoulders formation having broken out of this trend line. But I'll get rid of this trend line for the moment. And if we go to the 4 hour chart here, we can see that we have a sort of a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder pushing back down. But I want to see a little bit more from oil before we jump into it. We can see here we're at this sort of resistance, support, finding some support. If we can come back up on oil and show that we really are showing some rejection here, then we may be looking for a nice short trade. But at the moment, just keeping an eye on it. We'll see what next week brings or what Monday brings. But back to the US dollar. Yeah, this is an interesting level. We have broken out of that 4 hour downtrend. Low, low, lower, high, lower, low, lower, high, and lower, low. But we always have to also look at it on the daily and look at the daily swing lows and the daily swing highs. And at the moment, on this daily move here, we can see this is the last swing high, lower, low, and we're coming up to that level. We are magnetized towards this level here, or the trend line, as explained. So it's a tricky one with the dollar. Let's see what it brings, and let's see what tomorrow morning brings and what tomorrow brings. Hopefully we see some movement in the market, and yeah, we might be able to grab a nice couple of trades before we break up for or before the market sort of breaks up for that Christmas break. That's sort of an overall general look at what we're looking at now, and also coming into the next year. We'll see what the next couple of days brings, and then we'll have the Christmas couple of days when the market's closed. And then, as I said, I'll update on what days we'll do some live streams. We'll have some questions and answers. We'll pick separate topics on separate days to really go into some detail, and then maybe we can do some top-down analysis. I'll be clearing off the charts and showing you guys my new levels coming into next year. And I'll also be adding the all the other material that I've mentioned, like the trading log. We'll be adding next for you guys, ready for January 1st. And then we'll be doing all the other features that I've mentioned so far. So have a great evening, guys. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Thank you.